Does opening your calendar fill you with dread, with the overwhelm that you're just not going to get through the week with how much craziness is in there? Google Calendar isn't just a tool, it's a secret to mastering your productivity. But some of us have a bit of a love-hate relationship with something that's supposed to help us keep things on track, but can pretty quickly turn into a mess. Mastering productivity, managing your business calendar, and staying ahead with the best time management tools is what we're all about on this channel. And if you're new here, my name is Pete Moriarty. I've been helping business owners for over 20 years systemize, organize, and scale using technology tools. And we specialize in Google Workspace and the ecosystem of tools that work with Workspace. Let's talk today about Google Calendar and helping turn it into a productivity powerhouse for you. As we jump right in, I'm going to start with the basics. You want to make sure that your calendar is synchronized across all of your devices, but there is a secret that only us IT guys know. And that is that if you use third-party applications, you can tend to run into some problems with synchronization and some things can drop off. So my strong recommendation would be, if you haven't already, make sure you have the Google Calendar app on your phone, not the Apple Calendar. Make sure you have the Google Calendar web interface in Chrome on your device, rather than synchronizing it down to another desktop app. I promise you, the best features are available in the native applications, and it's my strong recommendation that you use that. Now, while you're there on the app, go into your settings in Google Calendar on the web and switch on offline access mode. This is a reasonably recent feature, but it means that if you ever happen to be offline at a cafe or on a plane, although it's less and less that we are ever truly offline, you can still access your schedule even without internet. If you'd like to learn more about productivity while working on the go, you can check out our video on tools to stay connected from anywhere. But this one's about calendar, so let's stick to this. Now, if you're a calendar whiz, I'm sure you've worked out how to set up recurring meetings for your business. You can set them up daily, weekly, or even first or the last day of the month. But you can also schedule other features like having some time to yourself using the focus time, or if you need to be out of office for a period of time, you can schedule recurring events there as well. More on those later. But did you know that you can also invite a group of staff to a recurring event if you have Google Workspace? Well, we're big advocates for setting group-based permissions here on this channel. You can learn some more about that with some of our other videos on how to get them set up. But once you have a group of staff configured in your admin panel, you can invite a team to an event, and that means that they're going to get any changes to the event all simultaneously in the future. The thing I like about this is if a new staff member joins the business, they just need to be added to the correct group in the admin panel, and then they automatically get invitations for all of the meetings that group has been invited to. Now, that is a great feature, particularly for growing businesses, because often we'll onboard staff members and we'll forget to invite them to the monthly all hands meeting because it's just something that happens. Using group-based permissions and adding groups to recurring events makes this a cinch. For your recurring events that are important meetings with your team, did you also know that you can now automatically record meetings and even have them transcribed with Gemini as well? Once you set up a recurring meeting, go to the settings for the meeting and you can choose auto record to be switched on for each one of the future meetings. I love this feature because it means that as soon as we join a meeting, it's automatically recording and transcribing. And that then means that in 2 months or 3 months or 12 months time, I can query Gemini and ask me, hey, what was said in a meeting like, a year ago about this new product that we're launching? And Gemini can automatically find that easily and give me the exact point in the meeting that that conversation was had. Next up, let's talk about tasks. And for a long time, I wasn't really a fan of tasks in the Google ecosystem. Their apps went through different iterations and it really was never great or consolidated. In the last 2 years, they've made massive jumps though. And I actually find myself using some Google Tasks now. Now, of course, anything I want to share with team members, we use Asana because a collaborative task and project management system is going to give you a much better experience for more complicated business processes and, projects that take multiple steps over time in multiple phases with multiple people. But for your day-to-day stuff of your highest priorities, I recommend you give Google Tasks a go. Now, if you want to add a task to your calendar, you can drop it straight onto your calendar, either in the all day field, and you can then choose a task, or if you're on the mobile, when you create a new event, you can choose to create a task. There is a dedicated tasks app if you want to make use of that, and that makes it easy to keep everything in one place as well. If you're the kind of person who likes time blocking, you can drag and drop a task from the side panel into your calendar at a specific time. And that means that you've dedicated time to get that task done on your calendar. And yes, we don't always get to all of our tasks every day, but it does mean that Google will keep you reminded of the critical tasks that need to get done. Now let's talk collaborating with our team. And I'm going to assume that you have a team, whether you're a business owner or an IT manager or someone who just wants to be more productive. The best way for us to work, particularly in geographically distributed teams or hybrid workforces, is for people to know where we are and when our work hours are, so they know when they can hit us up on chat and bug us, or if they're going to be interrupting something. Now, inside your calendar settings, you can set your work hours. And what that does is, as anyone else in your business needs to schedule a meeting, it will inform them when you are actually available for meetings on a normal week. It just lets them know, hey, maybe don't schedule when I'm having family time or finished work for the day, or I haven't got up in a different time zone, right? Now, you can also set up your actual out of office days, but we do this in a different place. There's a distinction between our work hours, which is your normal regular hours, and then you also have your external out of office, I'm completely offline time. When we want to schedule out of office time, you create a new event either by dragging and dropping or clicking the create button, and we can schedule out of office time, either for whole days or periods of time on our calendar. And when we set out of office, it gives us the option to automatically decline meetings, which is really useful, but it does something really, really cool inside our Workspace account for our colleagues. Anytime someone goes to send you an email or send you a chat message using Google Chat, it will notify them, hey, this person is out of the office and here's when they're going to be back. That is a great feature that is a massive time saver, and it allows you to maybe think twice about sending that instant message to the person who's currently on holiday today or otherwise out of the office. I mentioned it earlier, but focus time is the best way for you to block out time on your calendar. Again, if you're a fan of time blocking, this is a good option for that. But it lets your team know, hey, I'm trying to get focused on this thing. It's the kind of thing I do when I'm creating content and I need to block out 2 or 3 hours on my calendar just to make sure that no one's going to ping me or annoy me while I'm trying to get productive work done. You create focus time the same way you create an out of office schedule, by dragging and dropping and then choosing focus time. You can choose whether or not you want your chat to set you as do not disturb. And while we're talking about chat status, when you're in a meeting, your colleagues will automatically be notified that you're in a meeting with the amber message that shows you are otherwise occupied. I love all of these features, and that's why we recommend going all in on Google inside of your workspace. Now, do you like what you're learning so far? If so, you can check out our free training section at itgenius.com. It's designed for professionals, business owners, and IT administrators to get the most out of Google Workspace. Click on the link down below this video to get started and head to the free training section on our website. There's no catch. You can access it for you and your team. Share it around if you think anyone can make use of it, and make sure you let us know what you think of our free training. Let's jump back into Google Calendar's features. Now, we love being as efficient as possible with our team, and although we are spread across multiple time zones, multiple countries, we do need to find times to work with each other. And we try and avoid the chit chat on instant messaging of back and forward. Are you free Tuesday? Are you free Wednesday? How about Monday, when we're trying to book a meeting? Now, Google has an amazing feature called Find a Time. And all you need to do is create a calendar event, choose who you want to have at that event, and then you can click onto Find a Time. And it will either give you a drop down of suggested times that everyone is available for meet, or my preference is to look at the visual option and see where is there a slot in our calendar where everybody can make it. Now, I like this because by default, everyone sees everyone else's calendar in read-only format within Google Workspace within your business. If you don't have that configured correctly, you can change that setting in your admin settings. But when you can see each other's calendars, even if you can't edit them, you can at least see what you need to schedule around if you're trying to organize a meeting for multiple people. This saves us having a personal assistant try and check everybody's calendars manually and work things out, and I use this feature every single day. Now, these days with hybrid and remote teams, many events that we're putting on our calendar are actually online video meetings. Whether that's Google Meet, Zoom, or Microsoft Teams, you've got the ability to actually set a default meeting system when you create a new event. Now, we recommend using Google Meet, obviously, but if you really want to use Zoom, you can add the Zoom add-on from the Google Marketplace and choose Zoom as a default meeting provider. The thing I love about using Google Meet, and I've got many videos on the channel covering this, is that you can have your automatically recorded meetings placed into your Google Drive. And of course, any transcriptions that you create in your Google Meeting will sit in your Google Drive, and they'll all be accessible from Gemini. Now, Zoom can't do that, and so it really makes sense to use Google Meet as much as possible, and even with your external customers. If you were burnt by Hangouts many, many years ago, I implore you to have another go at Google Meet. It's been completely rewritten, and it is a fantastic alternative to Zoom or anything else out there on the market, and in my opinion, is the best in video class right now. Anytime you create a meeting with internal recipients, it's automatically going to schedule a Google Meet by default. And even if you're a company that has a physical location where people meet together, you may consider spinning up a meeting, joining the meeting, and recording that meeting into your Google Drive just for the ability to use Gemini to query those transcripts at a later time. Now, if you're loving Google Calendar, why stop at just one? Google lets you create multiple calendars if you wish, and I recommend you don't overcomplicate things too much. But if you have, for example, one set of events for your personal life and you want to keep them separate to your business life, well, you might choose to create another calendar, give it another color, and place your new events on the secondary calendar. Creating a separate calendar for your personal calendar means that if you need to share it with maybe a spouse outside the business, you don't necessarily breach company information, and you can still have someone see what you're up to and collaborate on a calendar with you. I love this approach for managing family events and get-togethers, and it just means that anyone else in your life can see what you're up to with your work and your personal life being separated enough to keep the business happy. It's pretty straightforward to manage multiple calendars. When you create an event, you just choose the drop down for your secondary calendar as you're creating the event. It's 2 extra clicks, but I think it's worthwhile if you want to keep things obvious, which are personal events and which are business events. You can also create team calendars here, which you share with your team members. If you've got, for example, an annual leave calendar where you want everybody to be able to see who's on what shift on what day or who's taking extended leave, a team calendar is a great way of doing that. And it's also a good place to put your recurring meetings and invite yourself back to the meeting. Remember to do that, because those recurring meetings can be updated by whoever has access to the team calendar. Ideally, as the business owner, you're not the person controlling everything, all of the tech, all of the schedules, all of the meetings, all of the management of calendar. You want to start delegating those to other people in your business, right? And setting up a team calendar is a great way to start doing that. I won't spend too long on this one, but Google also gives you time insights with how you're spending your time, where you're spending your time, and how many meetings you're doing. Honestly, I haven't really found much of a use for that apart from reflecting and going, I spend a lot of time in meetings. But you might get some insights out of this, and it might inspire you to maybe duck out of one of those meetings that you're not really needed in. To wrap things up, I want to share you my secret trick for notifications that keeps me super productive. Now, usually Google out of the box will give us a default timer on our meetings. I think these days it's about 20 minutes before the meeting. But for those of us who are back-to-back in meetings for many hours of the day, I think we can be a bit smarter with our notifications. Personally, I change my notifications to be multiple reminders for every calendar event that comes up. And you can easily do this in the settings of your calendar online. I choose to have a 10-minute reminder for my meetings and then a 2-minute reminder as well. The 10-minute reminder lets me know, hey, it's time to get ready for the next meeting, and I can wrap up the meeting that I'm in if I need to, or I can get ready and get my machine ready. And the 2-minute meeting lets me know, hey, now is the time to actually join the meeting and get ready so it can start on time. For a high performer who's got many people demanding my time, this is the best way for me to work, and it keeps me accountable to make sure that I demonstrate punctuality, showing up with my team as well. Now, we've covered a lot in this video. I hope that I've helped you to master your time management with Google Calendar. If you need more help, click around to the channel, hit subscribe, give me a thumbs up, and we'll see you in the next one. And if I missed anything awesome, drop it down in the comments.